10 trillion yuan. And the number of financial professionals also doubled. There have been many phenomena in China's securities market that cannot be explained by non-classical financial knowledge, such as individual investors becoming the dominant player in the market, and their performance is better than that of institutions. There is no established financial theory that can explain the growth rate of China's foreign exchange, and foreign investment banks that are familiar with financial classics often underestimate the development of China's finance regulation and the market evolution are vastly different. The civilization that accompanies a certain industry in history from its emergence to becoming a dominant industry in society, it has gradually become the dominant economic civilization, including agricultural civilization, industrial civilization, and information civilization. Now a series of phenomena have shown that the financial industry is gradually becoming dominant. The number of employed people is rapidly increasing, and the financial industry in developed countries such as the United States has shifted from employees account for over % of the total employed population in the output value of the broad financial industry in the United States accounted for % of GDP, surpassing manufacturing for the first time. This proportion rose 2%, and this proportion is still rapidly increasing at present. The transaction volume of world currency is times that of world trade, which only accounts for % of currency transactions related to production and circulation, while the United States has even fewer currency transactions related to production and circulation, accounting for only %. There is almost no substantial connection between financial transactions and the real economy. It can be seen that financial civilization as a new form of civilization has entered the process of human history and will quickly become the dominant civilization in society. The emergence of financial civilization has overturned the three forms of civilization in history, presenting new characteristics of civilization. The labor axiology has been left behind by the new civilization. Buffett's ability to earn hundreds of millions of dollars overnight cannot be explained by the labor axiology. Similarly, the utility theory cannot describe the financial civilization, because the paperless office currency symbol cannot bring any physical and psychological enjoyment to the owner. Since the premise of traditional axiology no longer exists, the general equivalent of social economy is no longer gold and silver. Under the premise of financial civilization, the general equivalent of financial transactions has interests of people be respected, rather than being a broad concept. The difficulty of transforming this concept lies in encountering the resistance of traditional ideology and the covert boycott of vested interest groups. Another prerequisite is the upgrade of the governance concept, that is, the upgrade of the version of making decisions for the people, which is undertaken by everyone, upgrading from limited liability to a limited and bounded management model that leads social rules and maintains their fair execution. Previously, the direct participation of the state in the operation of the economy inevitably led to self-interest, resulting in impure motives for the state, However, when the state is above economic interests and only serves as the creator and maintainer of the system, the transformation of its role creates a natural demand for the principles of fairness and justice. The controversial labor contract law, to some extent, is a manifestation of the shift in national motivation from favoring enterprises to providing universal coverage for the interests of workers. It is a transition from a focus on efficiency first to a balance between fairness. Despite its poor timing, it is still a landmark milestone, because the more a few people resist, the more they can reflect that it actually represents the interests of the majority and touches the pain points of interest groups. At present, it is the Ministry of Power that undermines the principles of fairness and justice, distorts the state's motives seriously, and causes even greater public discontent. The phenomenon of door-oriented, departmental interest-oriented, and interest group-oriented. Many authorities use the name of the state to harm the people and enrich the private sector, and practice monopoly under the guise of maintaining fairness and justice. This distorts the essence and core of the national political system, which means that the state represents the interests of the entire society and the nation, and implements its representation through various state machines. However, in reality, various state machines become representatives of the state and fulfill the interests of their own departments in the process of representation. This deviation is the source of social contradictions at this stage. The real reason for the large-scale mass incident in Wengan County, Guizhou, is that the government has repeatedly violated the interests of the masses in mineral resources development, resettlement, building demolition and other work, and in the process of handling conflicts, disputes and mass incidents. Some cadres have a rough style, simple working methods and random use of police force. Although the stock market was in a mess in the first half of the year, there were still over billion yuan in stamp duty receipts, and local state-owned asset management commissions are still preparing to queue up local state-owned enterprises. The conspiracy theory failed in the subprime crisis. It is undeniable that there have been instances in history where certain families or consortia controlled a country or the international financial system for a certain period of time, such as the Rothschild family, the Morgan Consortium, etc. However, in today's global financial integration, financial strategies between countries and the strategies of multinational consortia are highly likely to hedge or offset each other in the process of implementation, even if the conspiracy is successful. As a member of the international financial system, it is also difficult to stay out of the crisis. Just like Nazi Germany provoked World War II, but was finally destroyed by World War II. Thus, compared with honest labor and to each according to his contribution in industrial economy, financial civilization controls capital with wisdom, but the result is full of uncertainty. And the most important point is that Fukuoka once said before that story is the general equivalent of financial civilization. Its characteristic lies in identifying the differences in things and exaggerating them. infinitely. One of the reasons why Britain and the United States can monopolize the forefront of financial civilization is this. For example, when Morgan Stanley opened the door to the non-performing asset market in China's banking industry in the problem faced by the Chinese banking industry was clearly how to reduce the non-performing asset problem in new loans, while Morgan mistakenly described it as how to dispose of existing non-performing assets. In the United States, Morgan's main method of disposing of non-performing assets is clearly to buy them and for the recovery of the macroeconomic environment. But in China, they promote the so-called popsicle theory rather than slowly melting them down. It is better to sell them quickly. And for a long time, the U.S. Congress has always regarded real trade as the entire economic issue between China and the United States, and has been working with the White House to reap the benefits one by one. So, it's not just small scammers who are scammers, but big companies, institutions, and countries. As the saying goes, behind every huge fortune lies a profound evil. The financial explosion has brought unprecedented prosperity and high-quality living enjoyment to people. But it has also laid the foundation for injustice, the seeds of sex, uncertainty, and deception, just like the industrial economy. Start from utilizing resources to being limited by them, from creating wealth to wasting wealth. And when a thing develops to its extreme, alienation arises. In this way, it seems easy to imagine the terrifying prospect of a financial civilization that is passionate about storytelling. On the one hand, the alienation of credit. The financial explosion has exploded the connection between tempting interest rates and honest products, such as the bond derivatives market. China and the United States essentially belong to the same group of people. In fact, superstitious markets and superstitious state-owned enterprises belong to the same era. Experts and scholars mostly believe in the market, while most people are superstitious about the state. This generation of experts and scholars has been basically indoctrinated with classic Western economic theories advocating for the magical power of the invisible hand of the market and reducing government intervention. Among these scholars, the most typical is Wu Jinglian, who is C. market, and Gao Xiqing and others were influenced by it. As for contemporary officials, they always believed in the power of the government, believed in cybernetics, and preferred to concentrate their efforts on major issues, which was also the main source of the lingering state-owned concept. Between these two, those scholarly officials who excel in learning and become officials, who have achieved the transition from being experts and scholars to officials, have experienced a personality split. They are both superstitious about the market and difficult to resist the temptation of state-owned enterprises, towering above the temple and guiding the country. To put it simply, they are using the market to gain benefits and administrative monopolies to profit from competition. In recent years, officials who have parachuted into state-owned Banks as bosses have used the name of shareholding and marketization to give rise to the phenomenon of millions of annual salaries, which is just a microcosm of it. As for market efficiency and government efficiency, whether in the entire history of economics or in the middle, who is higher or lower, there has been a long-standing debate in the process of market-oriented reform in China. Putting aside the linear thinking of either this or that, objectively speaking, the key to better and healthier reform lies in having or hedging these two efficiencies. From the perspective of value orientation, relevant departments want to have both market efficiency and government efficiency, and objectively, the great success of the Chinese economy in the past years also depends on the full combination of these two. However, in recent years, the frequency of hedging between the two sides has increased. Whether it is health care reform, housing reform, education reform, public utility reform, resource price reform, etc., it is either too market-oriented or the government's power is too strong, resulting in obvious negative consequences of hedging. The efficiency of the U.S. government is very high, and its glory comes from the combined force of plus generated by the superposition of two efficiencies. But it deceives other countries to give up regulation and only want a market economy. If Chinese reformers listen to their deceit, as long as the market does not want government efficiency, they will undoubtedly be deceived. Digitalization, the Internet, and other technologies have broken down all the walls of the world, allowing the democratization of capital, technology, and information to come at the same time. Technological progress has proven that the function of the left brain can be replaced, and technology can be more efficient. Secondly, the transformation of exchange, production, trading, innovation, and lifestyle, especially as China is facing the cross-cutting of these 5 ways, has led more and more people to shift from practical rational needs such as survival and food, to emotional demands such as entertainment and happiness. The shift from focusing on high economic growth with one hand GDP to sacrificing GDP to achieving energy conservation and consumption reduction and calculating the happiness index in various regions is clear evidence. Thirdly, the Huashan Road of science and technology has been falsified, and various factors such as capital, culture, and talent are constantly being dismantled, grafted, and integrated under the impact of marketization, industrialization, virtualization, and other forms. The reallocation of these resource elements is not just a theoretical logical deduction and systematic analysis, but requires improvised inspiration, obsession with details, and creativity. Fourthly, people's faith in science and technology is quietly transforming into a reverence for art and creativity. On the one hand, compared to professions such as lawyers, accountants, and auditors, many people prefer to work in the fields of art, entertainment, and design. For example, art designers in the United States have grown tenfold in the past decade. On the other hand, creativity is becoming a global trend. Singapore's creative industry with design, art, and media as its three pillars, has an average annual growth rate of over 8% higher than economic growth. And Shanghai's creative industry has also accounted for 6.55% of the local GDP. In addition, the government's emphasis and cultivation on the creative industry, such as Chongqing's plan to build 20 creative industry bases in 2008, bringing the assets of the creative industry to over 800 billion by 2012, will undoubtedly accelerate the switching of the creative engine. As a result, with AgIM, left brain control is clearly outdated, and the thinking style of the younger generation has shifted from left switch from brain to right brain. The right brain belongs to the brain that can generate beauty and joy through inspiration, intuition, music, art, religion, and other aspects. It processes information through spatial dependence and intuitive simulation of creative thinking, opening up a jumping and fantasy imagination space for humans. The right brain represents personalization, virtualization, creativity, and fashion, which precisely matches the infiltration of multiple civilizations, the intersection of multiple ways, and the fusion of multiple needs under globalization, for convening differences of things, exaggerating them infinitely, and using concepts and stories as the basis for pricing necessary ineffective labor. Financial literature. One of the biggest characteristics of Ming is irrational prosperity, which includes a large number of investment failures and currency evaporation. It is these essential ineffective labor that achieve irrational prosperity, acceleration of factor integration, that is, under the combined effect of globalization and informatization, the process of financial transactions are compressed, efficiency is greatly improved, and the speed of factor integration is unprecedented, resulting in unimaginable scale and effects. Cognitive differences have become an important variable affecting financial activities. That is, different cognitive levels and abilities determine the status and destiny of countries, enterprises and individuals in financial civilization. If they are misled by conspiracy theory and take this as an action model, their future can be imagined. The foundation of this axiology comes from the formula of economic globalization plus market economy system equal a surplus. That is, the exchange-oriented market economy itself is a system of producing surplus money, and globalization has enhanced the ability to produce surplus money. The surplus money provides a prerequisite for the independence of currency transactions from the real economy, creating a currency as the trading object, and carrying out capitalization, securitization, marketization and internationalization, upgrading, and ultimately, it will free from the constraints of traditional media, happily generate money, and create a new economic model of economic prosperity and prosperity. However, this perfect process has been embedded with the original sin of marketization from the beginning. Just like the original sin of agricultural civilization is the original sin of land concentration and industrial civilization is resource monopoly. The original sin of information civilization is information overflow, and the original sin of financial civilization is currency surplus and evaporation. Although Greenspan and Bernanke believed that there was a problem in the market, the media believed that it was the result of excessive morality, financial innovation, and unfavorable government regulation. Soros believed that it was the result of market fundamentalism, and Europeans believed that there was a problem with capitalism and liberalism. They almost invariably ignored the fact that the original sin of market overproduction and the fact that the surplus currency lost its anchor of stability. Moreover, there is a lack of insight into the commodification attributes of currency. Currency has long surpassed traditional attributes such as exchange, circulation, and storage, and has become the world's most important trading product. The amount of capital trade is hundreds of times that of real economy trade. As a commodity, it must